Now that we know each astrological sign, houses, and planetary rulership, we can talk about the great cycles in more detail by looking at the polarities. Each sign has an opposite sign to keep it in balance, like the yin and yang, and the sun and the moon. One cannot exist without the other. If you want to understand Virgo, you have to understand its opposite sign, Pisces. In order to understand Aries, you have to look at Libra. In order to understand how our humanity lived through this great cycle, we're gonna compare its polarity with historical references and evidence. I'm going to start with the age of Leo because this is what we know from recorded human history. Although I believe human history goes back more than 12,000 years, in the future, we can expect more ancient discoveries to be made by archaeologists and scientists. This is the first written history from cavemen in the Stone Age. During this 2160-year period, they worshipped the sun. The sun brings life. It was the main source of survival. It provided the basic needs for people, plants, and animals. When the sun went down, it brought fear, cold weather, and dangerous animals. So they naturally worshipped the sun. However, their driving force was actually the opposite sign in sky. They were so fascinated by the different stars in the sky, science in the future. These are some of the qualities of Aquarius, and we will learn more about it later in this course. Our ancestors studied the sky and built structures worldwide to keep track of time. They were fascinated by looking at the sky and studied patterns like the sunrise, sunset, and the lunar cycles. When the solar system moved into the age of Cancer, people were influenced by the qualities of the moon. During this time, humanity started to leave the caves and settled into villages. They built homes for their families. They also worship the moon, since the moon rules Cancer. The moon is closely tied to women because its 28 days orbit cycle relates with the monthly menstrual cycle. Cancer is the fourth sign and house in the zodiac. It represents the nurturing feminine archetypes, women, motherhood, and the home and family roots as well. Even the art found during this period is round and curvy like the moon. When people looked up to the sky, they were inspired by the opposite sign, the Capricorn. The archetype of Capricorn is about building a structured society and leaving a legacy. So people started to building the infrastructure of their homes through farming and construction. Capricorn is the mountain goat that climbs to the top of the mountain. That explains why many CEOs and successful businessmen are Capricorns at the top of the corporate ladder. When the solar system moved into the age of Gemini, humanity focused on communications and local travel. So during this time, languages were developed and the wheel was invented. Gemini is the third sign and house in astrology. The sign of the twins are motivated by curiosity and like to chat about the entire spectrum of choices. In previous age of Cancer, humanity built their villages. Now in age of Gemini, people started to expand their local neighborhoods with the invention of the wheel. Since they invented languages as well, they started to exchange information and knowledges. They naturally formed markets and they started to do commerce. Even the clay tablet found from this period talks about someone borrowing corn and didn't pay. This age of Gemini brought huge expansion to humanity through communication and movement. What do you think drives humanity going through this age? Again, we need to see the opposite sign. Sagittarius is about belief systems, higher education, foreign lands, and international travel. The fascination with these themes influenced humanity to expand their knowledges by building libraries and schools. The solar system moved into the age of Taurus, and this sign is owned by Venus. When you actually see ancient Egyptian art, they're really colorful, really luxurious, and all the accessories are made of gold jewelry. They look beautiful. The Egyptians worshipped the golden bull. Lots of wall paintings shows the prosperity and abundance in their lives. In fact, the entire world was focused on materialism and sensuality. Music, dancing, drinking, eating, art, and sex were the focus of this age. When you think about ancient Egypt during this age of Taurus, the people were driven by the opposite zodiac sign, Scorpio. Scorpio deals with the themes of sex, death, and the transformation. No wonder why the ancient Egyptians were obsessed with preserving their dead bodies. They mummified people, animals, and fishes so they could be resurrected into the afterlife. They believed the physical bodies were the home for their spirits and they could reach immortality. That's exactly what Scorpio is about. Let's talk about the Scorpio archetypes a little bit more. Scorpio has 3 different stages of transformation. The first stage is a scorpion, which crawls on the earth and stings its enemies with the poison from its tail. The second stage of transformation is the eagle. It is able to gain a higher perspective with a bird's eye view. Finally, the third and the ultimate transformation is the phoenix. It symbolizes death of the old and being completely reborn. It's a process of resurrection and rising up from the ashes. The transformation is a spiritual death rather than a physical death. Then, the solar system moved into the age of Aries. I previously mentioned that Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. If we compare this sign with the human development stage, Aries is the newborn baby. It's like a being fresh out of the birth canal. And Aries' purpose is to live life through action and experience. And one of the qualities of Aries is they are selfish and impatient. It's not a negative trait because when you think about infant babies, they're only aware of themselves. When they're hungry, they cry. When they feel cold, they cry. They do anything to get what they want when they are curious about something. They just act without thinking about the consequences. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars has the nickname, the god of war. We can look back at the age of Aries and notice it was a dark and violent period in human history. Nations went to war with each other, and the people rebelled against their rulers. The Roman Empire rose to power, and you can see red feathered helmet on the Roman soldiers as the perfect symbol of Mars and Aries. Mars is a fiery red planet, and Aries rules the head. The empire that were built during this time were driven by peace and harmony. These are the qualities of the opposite sign, Libra. Libra is the sign of the scale, and its goal is to achieve balance. That's why Libra represents the law. The earliest set of laws were written during this period, including the 10 Commandments and the Book of Torah. Nations wanted to conquer their opposition to combine all the gods into the one unified belief system. In the age of Aries, a lot of people were traumatized from the drive for centralized power. People were tired of the laws and wars. When the solar system moved into the age of Pisces, humanity wanted to focus on the internal world by expressing love and compassion. Religious teachers and leaders were born. Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam became global during this age of faith. It was a period when people were able to connect directly to God, instead of depending on external rituals and animal sacrifice, like the age of Aries. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and its purpose is to help humanity become more spiritual. It's about letting go of the physical world and trusting in a higher purpose. Think of Pisces as a vast ocean with no boundaries and unlimited possibilities. Also, is the element of water, which made people more sensitive and intuitive. Pisces has two planetary rulers. The traditional ruler is Jupiter, and the modern ruler is Neptune. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system, and its main purpose is to expand everything it touches. It could be an abundance of happiness, extreme sadness, or complete laziness. It really depends on how Jupiter is being influenced by different signs and planets. Neptune is a gas planet, and it creates illusion and fantasy. Its purpose is to dissolve everything it touches in the physical world. When the energy of these two planets are combined, it can create an unbalanced reality without grounding. That's why we need the opposite sign, Virgo. Virgo is a practical. It's about discernment, service, organization, and perfection. Without this energy to balance out the age of Pisces, humanity would be completely lost in delusion and escapism. These two signs of Pisces and Virgo work together to keep reality in check. We are still influenced by this energy today. Everyone has their own perception of what spirituality means to them. Some people believe in the perfect God in heaven. In order to be saved and go to heaven, a set of rules, rituals, and routines must be followed. Otherwise, they burn in hell. This is the God complex. On one extreme, people would live in fear and give all their power away. They would be completely dependent on divine intervention. Some examples would be like, I can't make a decision until I get an answer from God. God told me not to work. Is God punishing me for committing a sin? On the other extreme, people would claim to be the chosen one and be self-righteous. I have heard so many religious people say, only I can heal you. Only I can heal you, or only my God can save you. Oftentimes, people experience trauma through religion because of manipulation by religious leaders or victimhood through fear-based teachings. These are the themes related to Pisces. In a perfect world, there would be unity, completeness, no pain or suffering, and no right or wrong. On the positive side of Pisces, humanity can express unconditional love for the greater good. On the negative side, humanity can become martyrs and completely lose touch with reality. Let's look at some symbolism. Pisces is the sign of two fishes tied together, swimming in opposite direction. They represent completion of a cycle, duality, faith, connectedness in the universe, and being in between two worlds. There are also many references in the Bible talking about the concept of the fishes with the Jesus and his followers. Here are some examples of the Virgo archetypes in ancient structures. This temple-looking sculpture is carved into the cliff. Without science, mathematics, and perfection, it would be impossible to make this. And also, look at the beautiful details in this ancient church and the temples. There are still some mysteries today about how these ancient structures were built. There was such perfection that modern scientists cannot explain how our ancestors made them. Some theories suggest that giants and God from heaven built them. Virgin Mary was an important figure and symbol during this age. She was pure, unmarried, and gave birth to Jesus. It's interesting that Virgo is also nicknamed Virgo the Virgin. Next, the solar system moved into the age of Aquarius. Here is an illustration of the water bearer that shows the man pouring out the oceans of the consciousness for humanity. Currently, we're living in the transit period from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. The solar system moved into the age of Aquarius in 2012 and will be moving through this age for the next 2150 years. Remember, the entire solar system cycle is 25,920 years long. When you divided this cycle by 360 degrees from the zodiac wheel, you get 72 years. Usually, the age is expressed in its pure form after 300 years.